Sometimes you'll have to make a deal with someone to get what you need, but unfortunately there are those who will try to screw you over.
In this case, we have two reality-warping demons who will scheme and trick their way into getting you to unleash them onto the real world. They may look goofy on the outside, but they can be evil and downright scary when they get down to business.
Bill Cipher, the triangular terror of Gravity Falls.
And Beetlejuice, the ghost with the most.
Beetlejuice is not getting any crossover scaling, like LEGO Dimensions or Teen Titans Go, but we will be drawing from all of his individual incarnations, like the original movie, the cartoons, the musical, or even the epic Universal Stage Show.
For Bill Cipher, we'll be including Gravity Falls information from comics, games, and even his very own AMAs that he hosted. That's a very real thing that he did, and information from it will be treated as canon here.
So between these two snappily dressed diabolical specters, who will be making bank in this deal, and who will get the raw end of it? Let's analyze them and see who's got it.
When Stanford Pines began investigating the mysterious town of Gravity Falls, he encountered many strange and powerful monsters, ranging from shapeshifters to ghosts. He had hoped to learn why this town had so many oddities, but he was getting nowhere. However, when he came across a cave filled with cryptic hieroglyphics, he learned about a being known as Bill Cipher.
Bill Cipher was a restless being of the dreamscape, existing only in 2 dimensions initially. He got tired of it and liberated his world by plunging it into chaos, then eventually making deals with humans to try and get into their real world.
This was because Bill had dreams to merge the real world with the nightmare realm where he resided. Bill tried time and time again to trick humans into freeing him. Bill finally met someone intelligent yet arrogant enough to bring his scheme to light.
Bill eventually found Stanford Pines, the previously mentioned paranormal investigator. He claimed to be a wise, inspiring being, only picking the most wise of the human world to inspire every century. This was, of course, a trick.
One that Stanford fell for, as he got his friend Philford McGucket to help him build a portal for Bill. He had hoped the portal would allow him to further understand the weirdness of Gravity Falls, but realized that Bill was creating a portal that would link his world to the real world.
After a series of events, the portal broke open, and Bill was unleashed into the real world, unleashing Weirdmageddon along with him, after tricking Stanford's grandnephew and grandniece into giving him further power along the way, in exchange for the things they wanted. I suppose this runs in the family.
With his new physical body, Bill was incredibly powerful. He was able to create a massive crater in the ground with his fist, was able to create an entire dimension called Mableland, and he was able to one-shot the Time Baby. Bill created a rip in our dimension, which was stated to be capable of destroying the very fabric of existence, if left unchecked. And according to Blendon Blandon, Bill actually wound up destroying the entire universe as Weirdmageddon continued.
He can easily chase down and capture the 2 kids, Dipper and Mabel. Unlike regular kids, though, Mabel is able to maneuver and dodge with a vehicle at speeds faster than sound, making Bill easily capable of reaching those speeds as well, specifically Mach 1 speeds, or 767 miles per hour.
Bill Cipher also once showed that, if he could escape the bubble in Gravity Falls, he would have been able to soar into space and pass by Saturn in just a few seconds. You may be inclined to argue that Bill was lying about this, as he was trying to con Stanford into a deal, but note that Bill never lies when it comes to his deals. He'll just find some way to twist it. But it's very possible that Bill is capable of performing this feat.
Bill seemingly goes from Earth to Saturn in around 2 seconds. Earth is over 836 million miles away from Saturn, so in order to make that distance in just 2 seconds, Bill would need to be moving at speeds over 15 trillion miles per hour, or over 672 trillion miles per second.
Bill also seems to be about as durable as he is strong, as he would have been seemingly fine if Time Baby were to attack him, based on his relaxed tone to Time Baby confronting him. Bill endured a laser to the eye, as well as having his own eye ripped out by a dinosaur. It's also likely that he would have survived the destruction of the universe. So, for sure, Bill Cipher is an incredibly dangerous threat to our universe. But it wasn't just the raw power that got him into his position as the new ruler of Earth.
Bill is quite intelligent. As he says,
I know lots of things.
Lots of things.
Certainly. As we've mentioned, he's very skilled with his silver tongue, tricking and manipulating others into doing his bidding by promising something that they'd want.
Bill has shown that he can match wits with Stanford, playing interdimensional chess with him and assisting him with research. He also helped Stanford build an interdimensional portal. He's pretty much known for tricking intelligent members of the Pines family, having also tricked Dipper into making a deal with him, which allowed Bill to possess Dipper's body. However, Bill himself was not immune to being tricked. Mabel was able to trick him into tiring himself out, and both Stanley and Stanford tricked him into his own death.
Personality also plays a big part in the tactics one would use. Bill, in spite of his clear intelligence, may not have a fully clear mind, as he himself admits that he is insane. He takes pleasure in the misery of others, and will even torture them physically for his amusement. Bill also does not like order and rules, doing whatever he pleases, even if whatever he pleases would mean total destruction of the universe. He does like joking around as well, and can keep a level head when he has the advantage or is pleased in general, but can also be very easily angered.
Bill is horribly sadistic and cruel, in spite of his joking nature. He's willing to kill children and shuffle the functions of someone's face to make them hideous. In order to perform such freaky stuff, Bill would have to have many powers.
Bill can shapeshift into pretty much any living being he wants, including poor old Seuss, who Bill did such a good impression of that he fooled those around him into thinking he was Seuss. He can also turn his eyes into weapons, stretch his arms to ridiculous lengths, or add even more arms to his body, and can grow his entire body out even further. Bill can grow so large he's bigger than a planet. He can even seemingly grow others to become larger than a galaxy. He can also regenerate from being torn apart, though it will apparently take longer to regenerate his eye. He can also phase through things and become completely undetectable, unable to be seen, felt, or heard by others.
Bill can also duplicate himself into several clones, and he can even read your mind. He was able to tell what Mabel was thinking, and he read her mind in order to create her own paradise. Bill can shoot lasers out of his hand, and he can even shoot electricity and fire. He can also just make objects, such as books, combust into flames. He definitely likes fire, seeing as how he made his own home dimension burn.
Bill can teleport anywhere in a flash, and can use his telekinesis to lift large chunks out of the ground, along with other objects, or even choke someone out, much like Darth Vader.
Bill can also make like the show's title and have gravity fall, manipulating it to his whim. Bill has also shown that he can summon most anything. He created a head that was always screaming, a flying car for himself and his friends, and he even summoned some bubbles of pure madness, which caused a man to go crazy and rip his shirt off. Though, in another instance, people inside the bubbles just seemed to switch art styles.
Bill can also create his own worlds, so to speak, putting people in a smaller bubble dimension to give them their own personal paradise. He can also monitor this dimension from any angle he chooses, allowing him a miniature form of localized omnipotence as well. Bill can also transform others, in addition to himself, making Mabel have an ugly bulbous head, snapping people into banners, turning them into statues, and rearrange what the holes in a person's face can do. Oh my god. He has threatened to disassemble people's molecules before.
Bill has also shown that he can put you to sleep with the snap of his fingers, and Bill can show images on his body. Bill can create portals under the right circumstances, and he was able to create the portal from his world to ours once the rift was broken. Bill may also be aware of us, the audience. He knows enough about us to create a new intro for us when he took over, and he did an AMA.
Bill can stop time on specific beings, like birds, but doesn't seem to totally be able to do it to everyone, considering all the other townsfolk were moving around freely after he did so. Bill is also aware of the future, knowing when people are going to die.
Whoa, don't have a heart attack, you're not 92 yet.
The problem here is that he's not totally able to use precognition, given that he wasn't able to predict his defeat in the end. But what people can't control, seemingly, are the weirdness waves, which seem to happen through Bill's sheer presence in the real world, randomly changing things around him.
But even in the areas where Bill is limited, he has found his ways around his own limits with deals. Bill's deals have been shown to give him access to new powers if he can pull them off. With the right deal, he can be allowed access into someone else's mind and all their memories. Bill can even make a deal that would allow him to possess you.
Sorry, kid, but you're my puppet now!
When possessing someone, Bill will pull his foe out and leave them as a spirit, as Bill goes around and uses his new body, potentially harming it because Bill thinks pain is hilarious.
Let's see what he'd think would be funny if it weren't happening to him. Bill is very arrogant and thinks highly of his power and ability to see everything, though he's not a total god and can be wiped out with a fair amount of effort and planning. Plus, what kind of all-seeing eye can just get poked? That's an exaggeration, but his eye is the most vulnerable of all his parts physically.
With the right ingredients, one of which is unicorn hair, a barrier can be made that Bill can't break. Bill claims to see everything, but this is proven to be false most of the time. That's how so many of the characters were able to get the drop on him, and ultimately, that's how Stanley and Stanford were able to swap places and trap Bill inside the wrong Stan's mind. Then, using a memory erasing gun, they were able to wipe Stanley's mind with Bill inside. This was what ultimately put an end to Weirdmageddon.
But while he didn't succeed in spreading his weirdness worldwide, Bill Cipher proved to be a highly powerful threat to our universe. With his odd reality warping power, it's hard to believe he's truly been defeated.
Actually, some people theorize that Bill wasn't even truly defeated. With a cryptic backwards message and other bits of lore brought up in future media, it's possible that Bill Cipher is still out there, in a different form, in a different time.
This party never stops! Time is dead and meaning has no meaning! Existence is upside down and I reign supreme! Welcome one and all to Weirdmageddon!
The Maitlands were a pretty typical 80s yuppie couple, more concerned with having a nice house than anything else.
For one reason or another, they didn't have kids, but they seemed to be pretty content with their daily life. However, this would all come to a screeching halt one fateful day on the bridge. Just like that, the Maitlands had died. The couple struggled to cope with their untimely demise, stumbling around the afterlife and being generally confused. Things only got worse when the Dietz family moved into their home and began to mess the place up. Wanting to preserve their home, the Maitlands found someone who would be willing to help.
So, say it once, say it twice, third time's a charm, and remember, I'll eat anything you want me to eat, I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow. Come on down now, chew on a dog.
This someone was Beetlejuice, found in the Ghost Classified ads essentially. He is a paranormal being meant to oust pesky human infestations. However, what he really wanted was to be unleashed into the real world, which he needed to make certain deals in order to do so. One of these was marrying the Dietz's teenage daughter, Lydia, only for the noble intent of coming to the real world and going on a rampage, I assure you. No nonce-like behavior here.
He may be creepy and old, but he's surely no creepy old guy. Well, Beetlejuice ultimately failed to marry Lydia and got sent back to the Netherworld. From there onwards, he seemed to actually redeem himself, at least in the cartoon, where he's now slightly more heroic. Slightly. He's still nasty, rude, and likes to eat bugs, but now he's friends with Lydia, and will do anything to protect her from danger. And being that he's the ghost with the most, he has the power to do so.
For someone so ghostly, he seems surprisingly adept at lifting and striking directly. He seems to be able to lift trees just by using his head, drag small building-sized monsters around with one hand, or can just trip them, or can even use a small building like this as a parachute. Somehow. His powers are still a big boon to him, as they allow him to increase his size or alter his body to become physically even stronger.
Beetlejuice can create moons with his magic, and he can even become a moon himself. Beetlejuice has also shown that he can become a planet, and even a sun. But most impressive of all, Beetlejuice showed that he was strong enough to fight off these living constellations made of stars. Beetlejuice was able to push against their might and even tank hits from them.
He's also not susceptible to normal human diseases, given he just found the Black Plague funny if anything. In general, electrocution, dismemberment, crushing, even to the point of a mountain being dropped on him, burning, exploding, to the point of surviving one that created a mushroom cloud, or even getting punched by the sun or beaten by a constellation, don't really hurt him. But going back to his magic, this is another area where it enhances his durability, giving himself literal nerves of steel.
Beetlejuice is quick on his feet, Beetlejuice ran from his house to the North Pole to the desert and then to a cruise ship in only a few seconds. In another instance, Beetlejuice even stretched his arm around the planet in just about 14 seconds. Now, the full circumference of Earth is 24,901 miles long. Beetlejuice seems to be stretching around half the planet here, so we'll split it in half to become 12,450.5 miles long. With 14 seconds over that length of time, Beetlejuice had to be moving his arm at 3,229,236 miles per hour. This would be massively hypersonic plus.
Beetlejuice can also fly up into space if he wants, so there's potential for him to become even faster, but there isn't much to go off of with him here, so we'll just stick to the stuff we can calculate. But still, that's pretty dang fast. Can you think fast though?
Beetlejuice is a crafty, slimy little guy. With his quick wit, he's conned people over their money several times over, and has tricked people into saying his name in order to unleash him. Despite his cynical and childish attitude, Beetlejuice proves to be a profound and insightful person, frequently reciting quotes of philosophical and humanitarian importance. But of course, Beetlejuice rarely follows his own lessons and lectures.
He can sometimes seem dumber than he is, but it may be intentionally being a smartass, taking certain things literally. In general, he enjoys trickery. He seems to revel in being disgusting and creating chaos, which can be entertaining to watch, if you're not in the middle of it. He's very selfish, as well as eager to scare others, sometimes to death. But he does have those he cares about, such as Lydia, who can help guide him towards a more beneficial path.
Lydia definitely helps bring out the best of Beetlejuice, inspiring him to use his powers to save towns from monsters and protect others. It would appear that Beetlejuice has actually learned his lesson from the original film, although we could be dealing with completely different continuities here. Regardless of the Beetlejuice you choose, he always has some odd reality warping powers with him.
Beetlejuice is capable of appearing on people's TVs out of nowhere, even physically pushing away other programs or interrupting those already in progress. This is actually a means of communication with those from the outside world. Given that he's a ghost, he can also be invisible or even intangible, phasing through walls and other objects with ease. This travel method is also even easier with the ability to fly freely.
As a ghost, Beetlejuice has the ability to possess anyone he wants.
Learn to throw your voice, fool your friends, fun and party.
Under his possession, Beetlejuice can make people do whatever he wants, and it even works on multiple people at once. Beetlejuice has done this before to make people sing the Banana Boat song. His possession works on ghosts just as well as humans.
Beetlejuice can teleport as well as fly, even to Saturn or into deep space where living constellations are ready to beat up whoever shows up. Inside paintings like Blue's Clues or Mario 64, or even directly into someone's head, as he turns into a small spider while crawling around in there. This goes into his ability to transform, doing everything from weaponizing his body, like turning his hands into hammers or forming spikes all over it, changing his form into basically any object, including weapons or any other living being, can turn into and attach to someone's body, or his own opponent's weapons, making them useless. He can counteract other people's changes as well, like turning into a heater to melt himself out of ice. Perhaps most extensively, even more than turning into living buildings like car washes, or whatever is going on in the episode Poopsie, or even turning into an eraser to erase people, he can turn into the moon, the earth, or even the sun.
Beetlejuice has also shown the ability to transmutate his enemies into all kinds of odd stuff. He turned a man into a tiny immobile tank, he turned a wizard into a bag of popcorn, he turned Lydia into a pickle, everyone shut the fuck up, and he turned a group of witches into literal old bags. Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, Beetlejuice loves to make puns, and usually transforms himself and others to fit his cheesy puns.
Beetlejuice can summon pretty much anything, like an entire strip club, women and all. That's his best power. Heh heh heh.
Oh yeah, here I come, baby.
Besides that though, appropriately, he can summon beetles and juice. But more usefully, he can pretty much summon people into existence in general, like an undead minister to help him get married. But he can also summon pretty much anything he wants. A door to another place that he could trap someone in, roller coasters into the Netherworld, dragons, the moon. Well, there just isn't much of a limit here. But highest assumption right now I'll say is that he could summon a star, since he already turned into the moon, and he also turned into a sun, so sure.
Beetlejuice can undo any negative effects done to others. He can completely freeze you in place by moving his hand up, and he has telekinesis. With his telekinesis, he can launch your teeth out of your mouth, and even force you to get an exorcism, by which he means he'll just literally make you exercise until you're tired.
Beetlejuice can also change his size. He can become a massive giant, or he can shrink into small places. And he can also change the size of people and objects. The largest he's grown was to the point that he was equal in size to constellations, with a single star being about the size of his eye. He also is usually aware of any medium that he's in, whether it be a TV show, movie, musical, or even the game. Especially in the musical, he is able to predict future plot developments. And in the show, he can pretty much enter any medium at will, going through the TV, or into video games or comic books, much like Gumby.
Beetlejuice can regenerate from many things, such as having his head bitten off or being shattered to pieces. He can stretch his body and arms in order to get further reach, and he can create clones of himself. Though the clones can bicker if they get off on the wrong foot. But they can also do choreographed dance numbers, so it evens out. Beetlejuice can also force time to repeat, which people only seem to notice on the third time around.
He can also get inside machinery and break it down from the inside, like he did to a bulldozer. So if you have electrical equipment, watch out. Given that he often summons or transforms into usually inanimate objects that seem very animate, it makes sense that he could also bring inanimate objects to life themselves. He can also hypnotize people, usually by swirling his eyes and waving a watch in their faces, though he also managed to hypnotize the whole town. So I assume you don't have the whole crowd locked in place just to see the one watch and all stare directly into his eyes.
Beetlejuice can create massive storms, including a snowstorm if he wants. Beetlejuice can become your very shadow, and can take a page from Freddy Krueger by entering your dreams. Beetlejuice can also time travel, once being able to travel to the past with dinosaurs and cavemen. Also, strangely enough, Beetlejuice appears to have the ability to cause death in living beings just by pointing at them. This comes from the musical, which we can't actually show you since there isn't an official recording, but take this bit from the script as evidence and trust us.
One of the most notorious things about Beetlejuice is his sense of humor, with a lot of puns being told in the cartoon. But with the frequency of said puns, they seem to often manifest into something happening in real life, with Beetlejuice's reality warping, intentionally or not, creating something related to said puns. Two of the biggest specified ones, though, are, "I can't get Lydia," or whoever else, "out of my mind," where it literally ends up trapping them inside of his mind, even if they're in the real world and he's in his home dimension. If he wants to get them out, all he can do is think, out of sight, out of mind.
Beetlejuice can also say, "We're getting nowhere fast," which will send him, and whoever counts as we, in this case, into an empty white void. Though, if he wants to get out of there, he can just say, "Give me a break," which isn't really a pun. He's just seriously done with this pun shit, I guess.
But Max, you forgot his greatest ability, turning the Universal monsters into rock stars.
Oh no, not the damn stage show. That's the one where Beetlejuice announces, "We hate Honey Boo Boo." Pretty topical humor, Beetlejuice. Honey Boo Boo? Yeah? Fuck's sake. Let's just move on to his weapons already.
Beetlejuice can pretty much also summon anything from anywhere. Whatever he feels like fits the situation, ranging from what immediately makes sense to just fucking with people. Beetlejuice summons a test your strength game which he bashes and causes his opponent to fly into the sky. Sculptures that he animates into living beings under his control. Or zippers and metal plates to make people shut up. He needs this so that they don't say his name again to force him back into his own reality.
In the game, he has several power-ups that transform him into different monsters. He has Frankenschwein, which can bring trees to life, Party in a Can, which unleashes several chaotic monsters, a bowl of punch that just beats the shit out of you, a steamroller to flatten building-sized monsters, and some bug bait that will attract bugs to gobble up whatever he sprayed it on, even if it's an entire building.
Beetlejuice can tell the future, at least with a fortune-telling globe. Though given the musical, he may not need this now. Well, he does also have a cement truck to pour cement onto people and turn them into statues. And he also has the New You spray, which can change a person's personality, much like Urkel's own machines. Though rather than going from cool to nerd and vice versa, you go from sociopathic murderer to nerd and vice versa. You can reverse the process by spraying them with water, though.
Beetlejuice has a bomb which he can blow up an entire restaurant with, and an eraser capable of erasing walls and even other people. Beetlejuice can also stop time with his stopwatch, and he can shrink you down with his shrink ray. I'm starting to realize that a few of these weapons are powers he already has. I guess Beetlejuice forgets sometimes, which could lead us into some of his other faults.
Beetlejuice has a lot of power, but it can backfire on him sometimes. He has extensive reality warping, yes, but it will often take what he's saying too seriously and force him to change it to something suiting a figure of speech. If he says he feels like a kid again, for instance, he'll literally become a kid again. He can also get a literal upset stomach yelling at him, or a nagging backache that complains a lot.
Also, while he does seem to be unkillable most of the time, I mean, he's a ghost and all, there actually is a surefire way to kill him for good. If you get him to say, "I'm coming apart at the seams," his body parts will blow off, and if he can't get his body parts back together before the sun sets, he'll melt away for good.
Beetlejuice's most famous weakness is probably that you just have to say his name 3 times to make him go back to his home dimension. Though if you say it 3 times again, he'll come back. He's also very easily distracted by women, much like myself. He's also very clumsy, much like myself. And his transformations are also often very obvious, either showing his face or his signature black and white stripes, much like myself. I mean, where else am I gonna put my bill?
But, at the end of the day, no matter which Beetlejuice we're dealing with, this crafty spirit has proven to be extraordinarily powerful. In fact, his own self-sentient brain once claimed that his power was more than enough to conquer the whole Netherworld, and I'd buy it. There's a reason he's known as the ghost with the most.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Now let's make a deal. You watch this video and guess who wins. If you get it right, I'll give you $20. If not, you give me $20.
No, that's not true at all. No money will be involved. Just sit back, relax, and watch this ghostly adventure unfold. I know who can save us. Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
Hey, are we sure I'm not still in the Netherworld? This place is a dump. My kind of place.
So what are you supposed to be? A guy who held his breath for too long? I'm just kidding. I know who you are. Beetlejuice.
Yeah, well, I don't know you, pal. Look, I've got some friends over on this side, so I'm gonna have to ask you to get lost, huh? Unless you want to tango with the ghost with the most.
Oh, that's rich. You think you're gonna stop me? Hey, I've got a better idea. Why don't you join me and my gang of freaks? You can party as long as you want.
You're insane if you think I want to hang out with a deadbeat loser like you.
I'm insane either way, Beetleman, but have it your way.
Go ahead, make my millennium. Anybody get the license plate on the truck that just hit me?
Ha! Wordplay! I love it! Ah! Not the eye! Have some bubbles of pure madness!
I'm already crazy. That won't do you any good. Hey, Bill, nice fucking powers. Whoa, close save.
Okay, I love puns as much as the next guy, but you need to cool it. Enough with the puns! I've been watching you. You sure have a lot of powers, but boy are you stupid. Too stupid to know you're losing anyways. I guess guess I don't know my own strength. I was just toying with you.
It's Showtime! Get him! Get him! Not so fast, Bill. We're gonna have some laughs.
I'll disassemble your molecules! I'll disassemble your molecules! I'll disassemble. Hey, wait a minute! Cut it out!
History repeats itself after all.
That's enough! Do you have any idea what I'm like
when I'm mad?
We're going to Saturn, pal.
No! Please! Not Saturn! Don't take me to Saturn, whatever you do!
Jeez, I didn't think you'd care that much.
Don't do it! I'm terribly weak to Saturn! Stop!
You bet.
Boy, you sure are gullible. You just freed me from the confines of Gravity Falls. Now I can spread my weirdness across the universe. The time has come. Reality is finally mine.
Wait. Why don't you bug off already?
No more puns. It wasn't funny the first 100 times you did it.
You have to stop.
Don't you get it? The party never stops. Nothing can stop me now. That was fun. Let's do it again. And again. And again. And again.
Yikes. Well, there goes the neighborhood. It looks like Bill Cipher has won today. But why?
Another very tricky one to decide. Beetlejuice had the wider variety of powers, but this, ultimately, unfortunately, came down to stats. Bill Cipher is really weird to lock down, in this respect, but I think we figured it out.
These two demons had many of the same reality warping powers, and actually, a few of Beetlejuice's powers had the potential to end or hinder Bill. Bill Cipher shockingly doesn't have a ton of resistances to reality warping, despite doing it himself. And it's possible Beetlejuice could have erased Bill by becoming a pencil, trapped Bill in his mind with a pun, or even just caused instant death in Bill by pointing at him. However, these possible win cons couldn't come into fruition for a few reasons.
First and foremost, Bill is much faster, so if one were to pull off something, Bill would be the first to get it done. Bill Cipher had a massively faster than light feat, as we mentioned, while Beetlejuice's only concrete feat was massively hypersonic. He's only ever traveled to other planets and such through teleportation, and while we have seen him soar into space before, it's not quite up to par with Bill's journey to Saturn, a location that we've only ever seen Beetlejuice teleport to. Also, Beetlejuice will often be screwed over by his own choice of words, or his own clumsiness, meaning he has more opportunities to screw himself over.
This also brings us to raw power. Bill Cipher had the potential to destroy the universe, and was ultimately a universe-level threat. Beetlejuice's feat of fighting those living constellations would either be a star or a multi-solar system level feat. Nothing to scoff at, but it's not on the same level. Really, that would be enough to justify Bill winning this, but there are some more points against DejViZ.
Bill is probably smarter, or at least keeps a more level head most of the time. Given that both use trickery as a common tactic, if one's trick is more likely to go off without a hitch, it's Bill. He can make Beetlejuice say his name multiple times, causing him to disappear, make him say that he's coming apart at his seams, which would leave a wide opening for Bill to permanently destroy him, trap Beetlejuice in his own personal bubble, leaving Beetlejuice stuck with his own personality, or even clones that argue with him, and even trick Beetlejuice into getting possessed by him. How ironic. Bill can figure all of this out through mind reading, as well, which he can more easily do than Beetlejuice.
Really, what made this a tricky episode to decide was just figuring out which of their feats were legit and which ones weren't. With different choices on what to use, the verdict has the potential to switch around a few times. Figuring out what we should and shouldn't use for Bill Cipher in particular nearly slayed us. Maybe it's fitting that this is the match where trying to solve it was the biggest pain in the neck, since these two characters are huge pains in the neck for everyone around them. But we believe we've ultimately come to the right conclusion. With greater power, speed, and abilities, Bill Cipher's madness reigns supreme.
Making this multiverse match's winner, Bill Cipher.